From Brookhaven, Georgia, welcome to the pregame show. Coming up, top of the hour, it is Oglethorpe, the Stormy Petrels, taking on the Eagles of Emory. Jon Nelson here with the pregame. Jason Longshore will have your play-by-play over on the Oglethorpe Sports Network. Go to gopetrels.com, click your way through, and you get to catch up with one of the longest-serving rivalries when it comes to Southern sports here in soccer. It's Oglethorpe and Emory coming up at the top of the hour. We're going to have representation from both teams. We're going to have both head coaches coming up in short order. Jason will be by shortly after the bottom of the hour, and he will bring his thoughts along for the ride as we go here this evening. We're with you till about a quarter till. Then we've got to kind of reorganize things here so Jason can be ready for the broadcast under the tent, and we'll be back. I'll be back at halftime to give you halftime thoughts. We'll have a postgame show as well once again. Oglethorpe Sports Network, gopetrels.com, and that will be how you can access the match tonight. Looking forward to bringing you all of the pomp, the circumstance, the pageantry, all the news and notes, and getting you ready for this particular matchup, this rivalry here between two schools here inside the perimeter when it comes to sports in the Atlanta area. So to get you laid out, get to the lay of the land here and let you know where things stand. Right now, Emory, for the first time in 2 decades, ranked number 3 in the country with a record of 8-1-2. They are 2-0 in the UAA. And this game is kind of being shoehorned inside of their UAA schedule. And so we'll go over the schedule and get you laid up and get you figured out where we are with this particular moment in time with both of these schedules, with the SAA, with Oglethorpe, with the UAA and Emory. Get you caught up with how we got to this particular moment in time. Starting out back in the beginning of September, it was, for the most part, a lot of low-scoring games. If you've been following Emory so far this season, it was 2 goalless draws in the Sonny Carter Invitational against Covenant and Washington and Lee. Then in Salem, Oregon, against Pacific Lutheran, they get a 2-1 win on the road. Then at Willamette, they got a 2-0 win there. Catholic, they played at Richmond, Virginia, the Sims Flowers Classic, and they split there. It was their first loss of the season after going unbeaten in their first 5. They start out with a 3-1 win over Catholic, then lose 1-0 to Mary Washington. Then they rebounded with a 3-0 win against Birmingham Southern, played Brevard, got a 2-1 win, played Sewanee, got a 1-0 win there. Then they started conference play. The 2-0 win over Washington and Missouri got them started here in the month of October. And then after that, it was a match against Case Western Reserve, 1-0 there. That brings us to tonight. So it was at Case Western. So if you look at Emory's travel, they had to go to Ohio to play a conference game in the UAA against Case Western, coming back to take on Oglethorpe tonight. Then they have to turn around, and they've got another conference game, but it's at home on the campus of Emory University against Carnegie Mellon. That one is Saturday afternoon. Then they will wrap up their schedule with a match against Brandeis. Then they play NYU. They'll wrap up their schedule. On the 28th, they go to the University of Chicago and take on the Maroons. That's a 2:30 Eastern time start on the 28th. And then they will wrap up their schedule with another road trip Saturday, November 4 at the University of Rochester, and that is a 1:30 start. But it's interesting to look at the schedule and see the travel that they've had to do within the last week. Literally, they were at Washington, Missouri last Sunday, the 1st, then going to Ohio to take on Case Western last Saturday, the 7th, then turning around in short order to come back here to play tonight. It'll be interesting to see if in that first, say, 15 to 20 minutes, it takes a little bit of time for them to get their legs underneath them as they are warming up to my left, camera right. We'll keep an eye on Emory as we go here. But once again, 11 matches, a record of 8-1-2, ranked number 3 for the first time in almost 2 decades. So great season for the Emory Eagles so far as we go. And then on the flip side for the Stormy Petrels of Oglethorpe, you look at how they have progressed so far this season. They're on a 7-game win streak with a record of 9-1-1, starting out once again at the Sonny Carter with a win over Washington and Lee and then drawing Covenant. That was how they started their September, and that was how they started their season. Got a win against Roanoke College in Salem, Virginia. But then, as a part of that Virginia road trip, losing to the University of Lynchburg in Virginia by a final of 2-0. Then wins in LaGrange against LaGrange College, 3-0. Then 6-0 in Montgomery against Huntington. 4-0 against Piedmont in Demarest, north of the Atlanta area. Then here on the campus of Oglethorpe, it was a win over Center College. That one was 2-0. Then they played at Sewanee, winning that one 2-1. Then against Birmingham Southern, winning 4-0. Paired that with a 4-0 win over Millsaps. And that gets us to where we are. Once again, that game against Millsaps, Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock. And when John Aiken comes and visits us, we'll ask him about the state of play with their players coming around on the quick turn, having the game on Sunday and then having to turn around and play this rivalry game on Tuesday. After this, then it sets up with the remainder of their schedule in conference, where right now they are 4-0. They've run the table so far. They go to Rhodes after this game on Friday afternoon. They'll play at 4:30 in Memphis, Tennessee. Then they'll pair that up with the game in Conway, Arkansas, and suburban Little Rock up against Hendrix College. That one will be Sunday afternoon at noon. Then they'll get basically the week off before the home finale in the season, the regular season finale, before they get into the SAA tournament and take on Berry College. That one is on the 15th. And then scheduled for the 28th, November 3rd, and November 5th, that's the SAA tournament. So those are the markers that we have here, as 9-1-1 takes on 8-1-2. In this rivalry with Oglethorpe and Emory, it's almost it is one-sided. It is 24-5-2 since 1991. Emory has won 24 of the 31 matches in this rivalry here inside the city of Atlanta. Last match was played last season, 3-0 over at Emory back on October 4th. And so John Aiken and Oglethorpe trying to get win number 6 in this series of the 32 that have been played since 1991. We mentioned that right now that Emory is 8-1-2, 2-0 in the UAA. Remember, UAA is a Division III. These are 2 Division III schools, and so you have 2 different conferences in play: the Southern Athletic Association and the UAA, the University Athletics Association. So it'll be interesting to see once again how these 2 teams, having played on the weekend, having to turn around and take on this rivalry game that we have lined up here tonight. It'll be really interesting to see how things shake up for Emory and for Oglethorpe. Some fun facts when it comes to Emory and Oglethorpe. Once again, it's the oldest soccer rivalry in the state of Georgia. And you have Emory, founded back in 1836, ranks among the top schools in the Directors' Cup for the National Association of Collegiate Directors of Athletics. So if you ever see the acronym NACDA, NACDA, that's what we're talking about. The National Association of Collegiate Directors of Athletics for the best all-around athletics program. You might know some guy named Bobby Jones. And his time, the only golfer to win a Grand Slam, founder of the Masters Tournament, graduated from Emory back in 1929. So you got how things are going to that's kind of your fun facts when it comes to Emory and how things are laying out here. We're getting our first guest wrangled and wandered over.
Hey, how's it going?
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Time to catch up with Corey Greiner, the head coach of the Emory Eagles. If I had told you that 11 matches into the season, you'd be where you are at 8-1-2. You'd be ranked number 3 in the country heading into this rivalry game with Oglethorpe. What would you have told me if I had told you in, say, late August or late September that this is where you would be?
Certainly, we're thrilled. I never would have guessed it. Honestly, when we were putting the schedule together, and in preseason, I looked at even the first 6 games. I thought, there's a good chance that we may lose all 6 of the first 6 games. So I certainly looked at kind of the schedule, and we wanted to make it really, really competitive because strength of schedule is really important for NCAA. And,
right.
So for us to be where we're at right now, we're thrilled, excited. I think the players have put in a lot of work, and it's well deserved, but certainly the job isn't done yet.
So then, for those who haven't had the chance to see you play this season, how would you break down how Emory approaches how they play when you go out there and play every time?
Yeah, so I think systematically for our team, we were playing a 3-5-2, and I think for us, we have some very, very talented players, and technically I think are very good. I think one of the things that we've really relied on this year has been defensively. We've been very difficult to break down. We've only given up 4 goals this season, and so I think that kind of has been the foundation for our group, and enabled our attacking players a little bit more freedom to play without the stress of having to come from behind or chase games.
How do you keep your players from staring at rankings? How do you keep them from talking to folks like me who sit there and go, hey, you're number 3 in the country right now? How do you block that out and try to focus on the UAA, and then at the same time focus on a rivalry game like tonight?
Yeah, no, it's certainly a balance. It's very difficult, and I think one of the inherent things for our school and our program, our kids are so wrapped up in the academic piece and school and studying that they try not to get too into it. Certainly today they were thrilled when the rankings came out right before kickoff. Like the timing probably wasn't great for us in terms of like preparation for pregame, but certainly they're excited, and I think they deserved it. But I think they also realized that it's just a number, and this is we're right in the middle of the season, so. At the end of the day, it's a nice accolade to have, but we still have work to do.
The quick turn. Let me ask about that, because you're coming out of a conference weekend with a rivalry game shoehorned in the middle of a week, and then you've got to continue to focus on the UAA on the end of this. How are they physically? How has the staff managed to make sure that everyone's as healthy as they can be to really come out there and give full performance out there tonight? What's it like for you on the quick turn?
Yeah, we certainly, I think, have had to manage minutes in terms of training and in games rotating players. I also think, for us looking forward to, later games, I think no matter what conference you're in, you're always looking at the next one and preparing for the next one. And I think we'll worry about the weekend in terms of Carnegie Mellon for us on Saturday. We'll worry about that, at 7
7 a.m.
Yeah. Certainly it's a difficult balance. And I think inherently in college soccer, it's really not ideal for athletes in terms of what they're asked to do in the classroom, but then to turn around and play this many games in such a compressed time frame. So having a deep squad and depth and rotating players as much as you can to keep them as fresh as possible is critical. It's really important.
All right. So if we were doing this game on TV, pick your network. Mm-hmm. You're my color guy. I'm the play-by-play guy. Okay. We go through the open. Everybody sees the wide shot of what's going on here in Brookhaven. Then obviously we go through the open. We talk about the rivalry. Who would be, for someone who has not seen Emory play this year, who would be those players in the split screen or the spot shadow? We sit there and it's players to focus on for Emory. For someone who hasn't seen you this year, who would be the players that you would talk about as I would toss to you to talk about the players for Emory?
Yeah, so certainly I think one of our graduate students, Colton Myers, is a forward. He's kind of our leading goal scorer right now. I think he's been a key for us in terms of offensive production. Our goalkeeper, Peter Wagner, has been excellent. I think if you look in the NCAA statistics, he's one of the top goalkeepers in the country right now in save percentage and number of saves and shutouts. So he's been critical for us. And another player I would highlight would probably be Alejandro Gomez. He's a central midfielder for us. He's kind of been like the kind of workhorse and the guy that's kind of helped us retain possession and in terms of our building phase really helped us kind of get ourselves on the front foot as we're building into the attack.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on that coming up tonight. Do you remember your first Oglethorpe Emory game?
I do. I think we played over on the grass field. I was an assistant coach back in those days, and I think we lost. It was very tight, and Oglethorpe came out very high pressure, high line, and came after us. I think we lost maybe 1-0, but I remember in that experience, that was kind of my first time seeing the Emory Oglethorpe kind of dynamic and rivalry, and it was eye-opening, but I learned to kind of love it certainly over the years. So
looking forward to it. Corey, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. You bet. Let me grab that from you so you can go back and go and coach.
Cool. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for hanging out with us. Corey Greiner, the head coach of the Emory Eagles. Half of the equation tonight as we get you ready coming up top of the hour. Then we're going to be with you here probably for about another 10 or 12 minutes or so. And then we'll get everything squared away. The table's going to flip. It's going to go over there. Once again, gopetrels.com on the Oglethorpe Sports Network. And that will be the way that you can listen to Jason on the call tonight. Jason Longshore will have play-by-play for you. I'll be back at halftime. I'll be back for postgame, and we'll break everything down here in this rivalry with Oglethorpe and Emory. John Aiken, the head coach of the Stormy Petrels, coming up in short order. Jason will be here in short order just to kind of break things down. And so we tagging out. We were officially tagging out. So we've gone from Corey Greiner. That's yours, sir.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Glad to be here.
Jon Aiken, the head coach of the Stormy Petrels, hanging out with us. I will start. The first question I'll ask you is the last question I asked Corey.
Okay.
Do you remember your first experience in this rivalry?
Vaguely. I think I remember losing handily, maybe 6 or 7-0 in 2003. It's bittersweet. We've cultivated such a fantastic rivalry. Obviously, we play in their Sonny Carter Invitational every year, and then we get an extra game with them. So I feel like we play at Emory as much as we play anywhere else in the country besides home.
So how would you break down this rivalry for someone who's never seen it? One of the longest standing rivalries in soccer here in the Southeast. How would you break it down for someone who's never seen it?
I'd like to say that, it took us 50 years. We've been playing since 1961. So the first time we beat Emory was 2011. That was the year we went to the NCAA tournament and kind of broke through on the national stage. I think there's always been some close games because of the rivalry, but we've beaten them 2017, 18, 19. We've dropped the last couple. It's exciting just to be a part of history. And I'm proud to say that the work we've done here at Oglethorpe is to turn it into a competitive rivalry. They've certainly dominated historically, but since 2011, it's been a lot more even match.
This season, out of the blocks at 9-1-1, 7 on the spin for you. For someone who has not seen you play this year, how would you break down how you play for someone who's going to be watching the match tonight?
Sure. I think that we traditionally like to build out of the back, combined, really maintain possession for long periods of time, try to find some complacency in the other team, and then exploit that. This is one of those games where it can turn on its head pretty quickly. So I think we're going to break a little bit quicker than we have done in the past. So it might be a little bit of a style difference. If you've watched some of those games, if you haven't, you're going to see us play pretty fast. 3 up front, dynamic front 3, as dynamic as anybody in the country. But again, Emory is very, very good at locking teams down with 3 or 5 in the back, however you want to look at it. So I think it's going to be a battle of individuals, and whichever group of individuals, some from them or some from us, gets their opponent on the right side, it's going to probably be their day.
Okay, so then I'm building your interview backwards from what I did with Corey. All right, so you and I are doing television like we would normally do television, like the 98 cameras and, spider cam on the whole bit.
Right.
You're my color guy.
Okay.
We do the open, title card over wide, explaining the rivalry. Hey, we're here in Brookhaven. It's going to be Oglethorpe and Emory tonight. I'm play-by-play, your color. If I toss to you and I sit there and say, okay, the players to watch for Oglethorpe tonight are blank, for someone, once again, who hasn't seen it this year, who are some of the players that folks need to focus on?
Sure. J.R. Cozine, our number 10, probably one of the most dynamic players in the country. First in assists with our team, leading the conference in assists as well. Ben Alrum, number 23, another very dynamic player, and Christian Medina. I can't remember what number Christian wears, but he'll be number 9. He'll be playing our number 9 role tonight.
Okay.
So those 3 guys are as about as dynamic as we've had, in a few years for sure. And then, our back line's been very solid. Daniel Amah in the back. And then our freshman standout goalkeeper, Nico Mejia. He's another guy that just has come up with some big saves over the course of the season, as well as a calming presence despite being a freshman.
I was going to ask about that. When you have a freshman that is as solid out of the blocks as he is, that to have that maturing presence, that calming presence, what's that like? It's something of a luxury, but something that can set the table for you for the next couple of seasons.
Yeah, I think we knew he was good. We didn't know he was going to come in and win the job and be this dominant. It really is a combination of a really good back line in front of him and him coming up with some key moments individually on his own where the rest of the team was beat. So I think moving forward, I hope he stays healthy. He's already got the individual record of 8 shutouts in one season. So Scott Zonio, class of 2020, had the record at 7. And then now Nico's broken it individually. So very excited for him and seeing what the future holds.
Last question for you, and thanks for hanging out, because I know you got a kind of a game to get ready for here. When it comes to the quick turn, you're in conference play right now. Right. You've got to step out of line for a big rivalry game.
Yep.
Then you got to step back in line to finish up your SAA schedule.
Right.
How is everyone? How have you managed minutes and health to get through this point, to get to this point in a big rivalry game? What has that been like to manage minutes and folks, and where do you think you stand right now with this rivalry game?
I think, this is a game that has national implications. They're number 3 in the country right now. Really strong strength of schedule. This is a game that we just have to play to win. That being said, if the game's lopsided one way or another, we might rotate some players, because we do have second place Rhodes on Friday away from home. So we've got a long bus trip, a team that's going to be fresh all week waiting for us. And if we win that game, we'll win the conference outright with 2 games to play. I don't necessarily expect it to be automatic, because Rhodes is a good team, but we'll see how the first half goes, and I might make some adjustments. But the game right now is 90 minutes, and we'll try to win. And then we'll evaluate tomorrow based on legs, based on what knocks and bruises the guys have.
Well, thanks for the update, and thanks for the preview.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Love it.
Good to see you, John.
Yeah, you too.
He's got a game to coach, so we're going to let him go coach his game.
Thank you.
Thanks, John Aiken, the head coach of the Stormy Petrels at Oglethorpe. And now you've heard from both coaches and getting ready for this big matchup. You've heard about the players to keep an eye on. For those of you that haven't had the opportunity to see either of these teams get ready for this particular rivalry game, I'm looking forward to it, because as much as I've heard it and seen it from a distance, this is the first time I've seen it in person. So for me, this will be an interesting gauge for one of the great rivalries here in the Southeast when it comes to the sport of soccer. Oglethorpe and Emory coming up at the top of the hour. Once again, gopetrels.com on the Oglethorpe Sports Network. Jason Longshore will have the call for you, and he'll break everything down. And both halves, I'll be back on at halftime once again. We'll be back on postgame. And don't forget also, Atlanta soccer tonight after the Hawks. Jason will have that as well coming up on 92.9 The Game. So it'll be a full night here when it comes to soccer, Oglethorpe, Emory, and everything going on. What's going on? Oh, wow. Wow, Oglethorpe legend. Ryan, good to see you.
How we doing?
Doing all right. Come on, slide in here a little bit.
All right.
All right. So for someone who has, and I've been asking this question to both coaches, but let me ask you.
Okay.
How would you break down this rivalry between these two schools from your perspective, for someone who's played in it, been in the thick of this whole thing? How would you explain what this rivalry is?
I'm sure everyone's been talking about it. Oldest soccer rivalry in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a lot of history here. The way I know it, at least when I played against them, we were undefeated. So I will say that. But they're looking sharp today. No, it really is shaping up to be a good game tonight. I'm really excited for this matchup. Clayton actually was a coach here at one point too.
Yes, he was.
Oglethorpe. That's one thing I will say. So there's definitely shaping up for a good game tonight.
So then, what were your experiences in this rivalry in the seasons that you were here, a part of Stormy Petrels soccer? What was it like for you when you're in the thick of this thing, when you're out there experiencing this match? What is this like?
Yeah, I don't think there was as much hype built around it as much as there is tonight. There's just been a little bit more promotion, with media these days and things like that.
Why, yes, we do.
Yeah. there just seems to be a little bit more hype around this. They obviously have a nice ranking above or next to their name. So that's definitely caused a little bit of
rancor.
Yeah. It just puts the team on notice, and they should give their best tonight, as they should every time.
Number 3 in the country for the first time, I want to say, in 2 decades, Emory. And now I want to go into this whole thing about being out there.
Okay.
How chippy is it? How much woofing's going on? What's it? Is it a little bit of elbowing, a little bit of sharpness? What's it like out there?
For sure. There'll definitely be some hard tackles, I'm sure, in the beginning of the game, settle into in the first 10 minutes. But I think both teams have good, skillful players, and there's bound to be some missed tackles here and there, but it's gonna be a good game. I'm expecting good tackles from both teams, and a good event
I was
tonight.
going to say, do you have any inside intel for us here? Do you have?
I used to love to put in a good tackle. That's for sure. I mean, Clayton, Aiken will both tell you I love to put in a good tackle. Yeah, there's definitely, I've seen some good Dylan, good slide tackle as well. I've seen some good plays from players this year as well. So I'm excited for tonight. Yeah.
Well, and one of the questions that I've asked both coaches about is the idea of the quick turn.
Okay.
Because you're in conference play. Both teams had conference play this past weekend.
Yep.
You're having to duck out of line to play a rival. And then you've got to duck back in line to get back in conference play. What's it like to do this on a short term where you're playing weekend conference play, which is important?
Right.
Then you've got to duck out on a couple of days. Then you've got to sit there and go, oh, I'm playing a rival. Then you got to duck back in. What's it like having this rivalry game sandwiched in? What's that like?
I really think every game should be approached the same way. With that said, there definitely needs to be recovery in terms of these games. I know as a player myself, just it's tough playing when there's a game and then a game on like Friday and Sunday.
Right.
It's tough to play. It's tough to play. The recovery for soccer is not the same as other sports, and
you go from conference recovery to a rivalry game, having to recover out of a rivalry game and get back in conference.
Right. Yeah. I think every game is approached the same, no matter conference, rivalry, no matter what it is. But this game has a lot more hype around it, and there definitely is something more to it tonight.
Last question for you.
Yes, sir.
Take me into the huddle.
Okay.
Like the pregame huddle. What was it like for you in the pregame huddle to have Coach Aiken saying whatever he's going to say? What did he say in these rivalry games in that pregame huddle to make sure that you guys were ready to go as soon as that whistle went?
Yes, sir.
That you can say.
Yeah. Aiken, I don't want to give away any of his his great speeches, but I've had a lot of coaches in the past give some amazing rah speeches and to get me going before games, and Aiken definitely has produced one or two up there on top of my list. So I will say he always does a good job of that. Josh Bronsdorf, I played with him as well. He's great. He's great at that as well. That's one of his specialties. So I'm sure he's going to have the boys going tonight.
Looking forward to it. Ryan, thanks for hanging out with us.
Yes, sir.
Here, I'll take that and I'll shake your hand. That way we'll reverse the order.
Yes, sir.
Ryan Marcano hanging out with us. 36 goals in 2 seasons, and he's gonna be like over there. He's gonna get us some intel as to about.
You guys. Let's go Oglethorpe.
See that. John Aiken and rah speeches. That's the next stage in this. I want to get like the text of what's going on. All right. Remember, top of the hour, Oglethorpe Sports Network, gopetrels.com. Jason Longshore on the call. It is Oglethorpe. It is Emory. It is one of the biggest rivalries in the sport here in the Southeast, longest standing rivalry here in the state of Georgia. Once again, thanks to the coaches, thanks to legends here at Oglethorpe, and thanks to Oglethorpe for hosting us. That's your pregame show coming up once again, top of the hour. It's Jason on the call. Play it safe, everybody. Enjoy the games. Thanks for hanging out.